quite a content to cover. So, hi everyone. Welcome to today's Higg FEM launch webinar, which is co-hosted by Cascale and Worldly. Before we begin, please note that all attendees will be muted during the webinar. However, I really encourage you to submit questions through the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, because we plan to have time at the end of our presentation to answer your questions. We'd also like to thank those of you who have submitted questions in advance, and many of these will be answered during today's main presentation. Please note that the webinar is being recorded and it will be shared out once the recording link is available. To start the presentation, I will run through introduction for today's speakers, provide an in-depth overview of the key Higg FEM 2025 updates and the changes you can expect, and then we will run through the platform enhancements and resources. We will outline the key dates that you should have on your calendars and spend some time at the end to answer your questions. Now, I would like to introduce all of you to today's speakers. Joining from Cascale, I'm Hamza, the Senior Manager for Brand and Retailer Member Engagement. Today, you will hear from my colleagues Demith and Dhawal, who will provide an overview of the methodology and verification updates. Joining us from Worldly is Adelaide, Leah, and Loretta, who will provide you with key information on Worldly platform changes, resources, and plan details. Thank you to all of the speakers for being here today. Before we dive in, I'd like to provide a brief reminder about Cascale and Worldly and explain more about how we work together. Cascale is the global nonprofit alliance for the consumer goods industry who owns and develops the Higg Index, which is exclusively available on Worldly, the industry's leading sustainability data insights platform. The Higg Index tools assess social and environmental performance across various aspects, such as water use, carbon emissions, and labor conditions. There is a network of over 40,000 Higg Index users today, which includes brands, retailers, manufacturers, governments, and NGOs. Together, Cascale and Worldly provide regular updates to the Higg Index to ensure they evolve to meet your needs. Now let's dive into the Higg FEM 2025. In this next section, Demith and Dhawal will provide an overview of the methodology changes and verification updates to expect with Higg FEM 2025. I will now hand it over to Demith to kick us off.
Thanks for the introduction, Hamza. Hello, everyone. Today, you'll hear about key updates in Higg FEM 2025, including cadence and emission factor changes, and new facility type split for the finished product processing category. Dhawal will run us through the time ordinance categorization changes, verification scope, and enhanced disclosures. The first update is about cadence changes. The April 30th deadline is now a recommended deadline, but self-assessments can be submitted throughout the year. It is important to note that assessments can be unposted for up to 60 days following the initial posting. The next update is about GHG emission factor changes. Comparability with Higg FEM 2024 is slightly affected for some energy sources, such as direct heating, chilled water, and biomass, but impacts are expected to be minor for most users. As expected, grid emission factors will also be updated based on the IEA annual grid emission factor updating cycle, as is best practice for Scope 2 emission calculations. Updates and guidance is available on the How Higg FEM 2025 resources page. The final key update from my end is about the new facility type split for finished product processing category. We have included a new facility type split for the finished product processing category. The split is in response to member and user feedback to differentiate units of measure for printing embroidery type facilities to be reported in pieces or pairs, and product dyeing and laundry type facilities to be reported in kilograms, and to accommodate the different processes. Let me walk you through the exact change in the next slide. Previously, in FEM 4.0, during the last two cadences, finished product processing was a single category. And when we narrowed down the Cascale benchmarking primary units of measure, this negatively affected some facilities that only had product printing, product painting, embroidery, and embellishment that typically accounted for production pieces instead of by weight. With FEM 2025, the processes that had and should measure production and normalize impacts in weight basis are separated from the processes that typically measure production and normalize impacts in pieces. And now they have their own facility type category. All previous applicabilities that applied to the historical finished product processing facility type will still remain for both of these new facility type categories. Giving you some more details on the changes within the assessment itself, we highly encourage all users to refer to the latest How to Higg guidance and the introduction section, as well as the summary of updates to the Higg FEM 4.0 for FEM 2025, which is available within the guidance. The entire How to Higg guide has been reviewed and updated where appropriate to provide as much clarity as possible for all stakeholders to understand the intent and expectation of the questions. Let me also inform you few major changes that you should keep your eyes out for. The permit section questions 1 and 2 have been rephrased to align with the updated time ordinance categorizations. Lastly, a new question on microfiber parameters was added in the wastewater section based on the updates to the ZDHC wastewater guidelines to control microfiber in wastewater. Let me now hand it over to Dawal to talk about verification.
Thank you, Demit. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on where you are. I will walk you through some updates on Higg FEM 2025 verification. The first one being on verification scope. From calendar year 2026, the verification scope continues to be level 1 questions. Verification for level 2 and level 3 questions is not going to be available in 2026 as well. We at Cascale made this decision to pause the expansion of verification for several reasons based on a review and consultation that we had conducted with members and also internal operations. We've also published a position paper which outlines the rationale behind pausing the scope expansion to level 2 and 3 and continuing to improve the operational efficiency and the quality that we deliver on level 1 verifications. My colleague Samra will be sharing the position paper in chat. You can have a look at the position paper and read through it for more details. I will go to the next update, which is improved person day guidance. Effective from January 2026 for FEM 2025 verifications, Cascale is providing specific person day guidance on 2 person days of on-site verifications in certain scenarios. In the updated verification protocol, you can find those specific scenarios which involve factories which have dye house or finished product processing, certain kinds of wastewater treatments, water treatments, etc. Those kind of factories will be eligible for 2 person day verifications. This guidance can be found in the updated verification protocols. Demit already alluded to the time ordinance categorization update. So time ordinance is binding guidance that defines the scope, the temporal time-based scope for each FEM question. And this guidance mainly applies to verifiers, which enables them to provide high quality verifications. Time ordinance categorization is available in the Higg FEM verifier field guide. This field guide is also available on the verification webpage. Starting 2025, we have modified certain categorization of questions to make it simpler and also incorporate member feedback that we have received so far. Next, I will talk about enhanced verification disclosures. Starting January 2026 again, 2 resources are being enhanced. The verifier body public profiles will provide visibility on VB quality scores, regional availability of verifiers, an overview of active verifiers, the history since when a particular VB has been active within the verification program, details on suspensions, and etc. These disclosures, we hope, are creating more transparency while factories and other stakeholders are reviewing verifier body information. Furthermore, we also have a FEM QA dashboard. This dashboard has been also updated for better usability and better organization of information regarding FEM verification quality. With this, I will hand it over to Addy to talk through the portion on Worldly. Over to you, Addy.
Thank you so much, Demith and Dawal, for going deep on the methodology changes and the verification changes that we're going to expect with the FEM 2025 cadence. Hello, everyone. My name is Adelaide Jessica, and I'm the product manager here at Worldly that covers our Higg index assessments. So at this time, some folks from Worldly and I are going to take a few minutes to talk about the features and the new training and support materials that we have developed to help facilities and brands alike have an easier time completing, collecting, and finding value in our FEM. We've heard the feedback about the data collection process, and I want to highlight a few features that will help facilities complete the assessment more quickly and more accurately. First, we have our roll forward feature. For facilities who have completed an FEM 2024, our roll forward feature pre-populates the qualitative data into the FEM 2025. When I say qualitative data, I mean the non-numeric and non-date specific data points. And this will help you reduce the time to complete the FEM 2025 and speed up reporting. Of course, we recommend you review all of these pre-populated data to ensure that it's still accurate for the new year. Second, we have our outlier detection feature. We automatically flag values that are outliers or atypical values. And we do this within the energy and the water quantitative values. We're looking at the individual energy and water sources, your total usage, and normalized usage by production volume from the year to find errors. We also have the FDM import. This is for users who have already inputted a year's worth of data in the FDM. We'll make sure that you don't have to enter those values again. You can import and aggregate your totals into the annual FEM assessment. And this can cover up to 100% of the quantitative level 1 questions, depending on which data the facility has put into the FDM. And then lastly, I want to talk about some performance investments. We're continuously investing in enhancing the experience that you have when you complete the Higg FEM. We're trying to improve platform speed, platform reliability, and usability. And we're committed to making sure facilities worldwide can easily complete the assessment. So we've made some significant increased performance in our key manufacturing regions in Asia to hopefully have a more responsive experience with lower friction. I want to talk next about some of our new features for the FEM 2025. This year, we have 3 brand new and very exciting tools that I want to teach you about. We have tools like the Worldly Assistant to help you get answers and guidance within the FEM assessment. We have the Insights Hub, which is a reimagining of the Worldly analytics to give you clearer than ever insights and lead you to strategic decisions. And we have the Worldly Collaboration Suite to help brands and retailers increase their supplier engagement. First, I'll share some more details about the Worldly Assistant. So the Worldly Assistant is an AI-powered conversational chatbot, which is trained to get you instant and reliable guidance about the FEM assessment. It's available for all FEM users, so that's facilities, verifying bodies, and brands, and it can get you the answers you need right within the assessment. We encourage everybody, brands included, to take a look at the Worldly Assistant within the FEM to try it out. Look for the Worldly Assistant logo under each question in the View Guidance section or on the right-hand side of the screen. And if you click this icon, which is the question mark with the little diamond twinkle, the widget will open right there within the assessment. This is your personal guide to completing and verifying the FEM. It's ready to explain any question or concept or requirement, and it's trained on all of our documentation. So that includes the Worldly knowledge base, the How to Higg knowledge base, the 500-page full How to Higg guidance, and other sources like the ZDHC knowledge base. Additionally, it will use your language of choice. So if you ask your question in Vietnamese, it will respond to you in Vietnamese. This was piloted over the summer, and we've seen some really great questions asked. For example, you can go in and ask the assistant, what is the MRSL? And it will teach you that the MRSL stands for the Manufacturing Restricted Substance List, and it'll list the sources that you need to review. We've seen other questions asked, like, how do I answer about my facility production volume? What are the list of documents that I need to provide in the FEM assessment? Or things like, where can I find a certificate of completion? It can answer all of those for you. I do want to mention that this is in no way replacing our support site or our support tickets. This is an addition, a way to get you answers while you're in the middle of completing the assessment. And of course, keep in mind with any AI tool, it can make mistakes and the AI should assist you, but you should review and use your best judgment as well. Our second new item is the Worldly Insights Hub. This is your one-stop shop for all things insights and analytics. There are benefits here for both our brands and retailers, as well as our manufacturers and facilities. Brands and retailers can use the Insights Hub to get a simpler view of the complicated FEM answers. They can use it to measure progress against industry benchmarks and other industry metrics. The Insights Hub has charts and graphs and key metrics to help you target high-impact facilities and ultimately build a more resilient and future-proof supply chain. For facilities, this is really interesting because they can see the same picture about their performance that a brand might see. They can view their performance and their score over time. The Insights Hub can also show them their biggest impact areas and where they should focus their resources to improve their performance. They can also view the industry benchmarking so they know where they stand against their peers. We're really excited for everybody to get into the Insights Hub and to begin to get more of the insights about the FEM assessment after they complete it. I want to provide a couple examples on our next slide about how our brands might use the Insights Hub. So you can use Insights Hub to view key performance indicators or KPIs, or view performance compared to an industry benchmark. And you can do so for all of your suppliers or for suppliers in a specific region or a singular facility type, for example. On the environmental baseline dashboard, you can see which of your supply chain tracks refrigerant use and which do not. And you can do so by region, location, facility type, cadences, country, etc. You can also use this tool to plan your engagement. So you can target specific regions or specific facilities with high or low performance. As an example, on the decarbonization dashboard, you can quickly view stats and specifics about facilities that maybe don't have a plan for reducing their GHG emissions. We're basing this off of a specific question within the FEM, and you can easily view who that is. And finally, I'd like to talk about the Worldly Collaboration Suite. For those who have used our adoption tool in the past to engage with your suppliers, this is the new and improved tool. We've built it to help our aggregator users, so our brands and our retailers, get richer and more complete data. That, of course, is the essential foundation for spotting risks early, measuring performance accurately, and helping them make informed strategic decisions. It's a suite of features that includes the ability to view your entire supply chain network across all of your assessments. And this includes supplier profiles, which is a view about the facility that we've never had before. We have improved segmentation features, so you can filter by geography, performance, or program status to help you focus. We have the ability to dynamically monitor facility completion by status. And we let you compare and view current and historical results, so you can reveal trends or gaps. The example here is you can see if a facility has completed the FEM for the last 3 years, or if this might be their first year and they need some extra onboarding support as it's their first time completing the assessment. Thanks for letting me talk a little bit about what's new, and I'll pass it along to Leah to share a little bit more about the resources that the education team is preparing for the cadence.
Hello, thank you. I was just wrapping up a question, so let me get to where I am. Thank you so much, Addie, for your handing this off to me. Yeah, let me get the window back. Yeah, so my name is Leah Jaggers, and I'm the Senior Education Manager here at Worldly. Some of you might have seen me in other webinars. Thank you so much for that helpful overview, Addie. So next we'll share some resources and key dates that you should be aware of. We offer resources in a variety of ways so that you can learn about Higg FEM and Worldly, the Worldly platform in your preferred method. So we have e-learning courses and curriculum, live learning opportunities with language interpretation, and written resources. I'll go over a few specifics for each of those now. First, I would like to highlight some e-learning courses. All e-learning courses are free and available to all Worldly platform users. Simply access the Learning Center from the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of the platform and log in with your Worldly platform credentials. If you have any trouble accessing the e-learning platform, please reach out to the support team at Worldly and we are happy to help. We have a general onboarding course that would be helpful for anyone who is brand new to the platform in general. We also have a full e-learning curriculum on Higg FEM that goes over how to get started, how to analyze your results, and also includes deep dives into each section by the Cascale Facility Tools team. You may also pick any of these courses individually if you do not want to complete the full curriculum. We also have an e-learning courses on Insights Hub and Facility Data Manager with new courses added regularly. Check out the full e-learning list to see all of the courses currently available. All e-learning courses are also subtitled in multiple languages. In addition to e-learning, we are also hosting plenty of live opportunities to ask questions. First, we have our series of FEM Q&As, co-hosted with Worldly and the Cascale Facility Tools team and verification teams. We're also hosting Higg FEM 2025 Get Ready for the Assessment sessions after this launch, specifically for facility users to understand the updates, get started in the assessments, and what resources are available. Following that, we are hosting a series of Get to Know the Higg FEM sections trainings. These sessions are designed for new and returning users who want a refresher on the FEM contents section by section to better prepare for the assessment. We will also be hosting periodic sessions on Facility Data Manager and Insights Hub if you'd like to learn more about those tools. Check out the training calendar for links to register for all sessions I just covered. We offer live interpretation during these sessions as well, so check out the session descriptions for specifics. And I believe there's a question about a Spanish session there, so hopefully that answers your question. And then lastly, we have recorded webinars covering a variety of topics, including the Best Practices series, how to use FDM to get a head start on FEM, and more in the link provided. All webinar recordings have subtitles in multiple languages. Lastly, I'd like to highlight a few key written resources to check out to better prepare you for this cadence. First, our Cascale team already mentioned, but always like to highlight, is the How to Higg website. This is where Cascale publishes the full long-form PDF guidance translated into multiple languages, along with Higg FEM methodology, scoring, and verification guidance. How to Higg is the best place for technical guidance on how to answer the questions. On the Worldly side, we have the support site. I've highlighted a few helpful articles here that should help during the cadence, but there's much, much more. First is the cadence timeline. This has been updated to reflect the new cadence dates and unposting deadline adjustment. There are outlier guides for both brands and facilities to better understand how outliers are identified and resolved. We have a written guide for importing FDM data into FEM and a quick start guide on Insights Hub and Facility Data Manager, which is a great place to start if you hadn't had a chance to explore those tools yet. Our knowledge base is fully translated into our supported languages and contain resources on how to navigate the platform, frequently asked questions, and additional guidance. And I'd like to hand off to my colleague Loretta to talk about subscriptions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Loretta. I'm this VP of Customer Success at Worldly. So excited to have so many of you joining us today. Thank you, Dawal and Demeth, for walking us through such amazing improvements to the FEM, and Addie for walking us through all the new tools that we have available to you on the platform, and Leah for the resources. We've added a lot to what you have access to this year, improvement on the tools, improvement on the assessments itself. And I'm very happy to share with all of you that there is no change in our pricing from last year to this year. Our 2-year plan is still offering you 15% off each year for $254 per year. And the 1-year plan is staying the same from last year to this year. You have 3 options of subscriptions to purchase. The light subscription plan includes Facility Data Manager and also FFC custom assessments. The standard plan allows you to select whether you need FEM or FSLM, and then also includes Facility Data Manager as well as FFC custom assessments. You will also get access to the Insights Hub that Addie walked you through. It'll be ready for verification and you'll have live support. For the complete subscription, you get everything. You get FEM and FSLM, as well as everything that's included in the standard subscription. Please make sure that you check with your brand partners on which one you need to purchase. If you only need to do one of FEM or FSLM, standard is the plan for you. If you need to do both, please select the complete subscription. And also for those of you, we know that you're out there that have done the both FEM and FSLM assessments for multiple years. Please take advantage of that discount that we're giving out to everyone for 15% off. If you go to the next slide, I'm also excited to announce that for new customers, first-time facilities who have never been on the Worldly platform before, you will get the opportunity to receive 10% off the 1-year Worldly standard subscription, allowing you access to Higg FEM or FSLM. This is available to all facilities who have never completed a Higg FEM assessment in the past. There is no coupon code required for it. All you have to do is complete the registration process, create an account, and the discount will be automatically applied when you select the 1-year standard subscription plan. This discount is valid from starting tomorrow, November 6th, through to October 31st of next year. So if you're a first-time facility, welcome to the ecosystem. Please take advantage of the 10% off this year as well. We have 3 brand and retailer data access plans, or 4, data access plans this year, with supplier data giving you access to the data that are being submitted through FEM and FSLM and allowing you to aggregate them across your supply chain stakeholders, access to Insight Hub, as well as adoption support with the customer success team. The other 3 packages remain the same as last year: a measurement plan, engagement, as well as impact. Impact being ours, where you have the highest level of support from Worldly to roll out FEM and FSLM to your supply chain. If you have any questions about these brand or retailer plans, please reach out to Worldly at hello@worldly.io. We have expanded this year our supplier Kickstarter program. Anyone who is a Cascale member can have access to participate in this Kickstarter program. If you are a customer who is on the impact service plan, you are also welcome to participate, but you have a customer success resource who can walk you through all of the aspects of this program one-on-one. But for those of you that have not upgraded to the impact plan, we have made a lot of our resources and best practices available to you to self-service. This year, we're also offering the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one session with one of our supply chain engagement experts to kick off your cadence this year. Set yourself up for success. Make sure that you're moving over to the Worldly Collaboration Suite from the adoption tool. We're here to support you on that. You'll have access to list loading services from us to kickstart your program, as well as a series of live workshops to help you navigate and maximize the use of our supply chain management tools through the Worldly Collaboration Suite. We will send out a link to the webpage where you can get a feel for everything that's available there on the resources, register for webinars, as well as submitting your lists and signing up for a one-on-one kickoff session. Stay tuned for that in the follow-up email from Cascale. Just a quick note for you all, especially those that are joining us for the first time. Brands that are leveraging our Worldly Collaboration Suite, as well as our customer success best practices, have been able to achieve over 90% assessment completion rates across their supply chain. We are here to help you achieve that goal, whatever that participation goal may be within your stakeholder supply chain. Utilize the Kickstarter program. We've got a lot of best practices in there. You'll be hearing from Worldly also more throughout the cadence as well. We have a toolkit that will be going out soon, timeline recommendations. We're here to help you gather that primary data from your supply chain and utilize it to reduce your environmental impact.
Thank you. Thank you, Loretta. Thank you all for all the exciting updates. So now I want to walk you to the key dates that you should be aware of in the coming months. So tomorrow, 6th of November, the Higg FEM 2025 will go live on the Worldly platform. Anyone who has purchased the new module will be able to view and start completing the module. On 1st of January 2026, Higg FEM self-assessment posting can start, and verification will be available for FEM 2025 modules as well. On 30th of April 2026 will be the self-assessment posting Cascale recommended deadline. But as mentioned before, any module posted after this will be equally valuable. On 31st October 2026 will be the new Higg FEM 2025 module purchase deadline. After this date, FEM 2025 modules cannot be purchased. On 31st of December 2026, it will be the self-assessment posting closing date. Unless posted before this date, the module will be reflected as incomplete. Further, Higg FEM 2025 verification closes on this date as well. Before moving into the Q&A portion of our presentation today, I'd like to share a brief note about a webinar survey. So your feedback is essential in shaping our webinars and resources moving forward. And we would really appreciate your input on a brief survey that will pop up in your browser after the conclusion of this session. The survey will remain anonymous and will take you less than 1 minute to complete. I thank you in advance for your time and participation in that survey. Moving on to the Q&A section now. So I believe we have been getting some questions in the chat, and my amazing colleagues have been responding to them through chat, but I also see that we have a few raised hands. I'm just not quite sure if you can unmute yourself and ask the question. I see Rosanna Coelho.
If you're unable to unmute yourself, please type the question into the Q&A and I will read it off for the panelists to answer. We do have a couple of questions coming in that have been kind of repeated through the session. The first one being, will we be receiving a recording of this webinar after it is concluded? The answer is yes. After we've concluded this session today, you will receive a recording along with a lot of resource links and other relevant links available to you from Cascale. And then we also had a question, Addie, for you. If you have already subscribed to a 2-year plan, how are the new modules being added to the company account?
Yeah, I just want to double check that everyone is clear on this one. So if you have a 2-year plan, or if for some reason you're in the middle of an active plan and you're not at a moment where you need to resubscribe, you are going to be able to allocate yourself a new FEM or a new FSLM without purchase. Where that's going to happen is within that section of the platform. So you'll click into the FEM section where you would view what we call the module overview, or that dashboard that shows you some of the metadata about your last year's FEM. And you will see a very large blue banner that says, we're excited for you to start your FEM 2025. There'll be a button there that'll be very obvious, so you can start that FEM 2025 without an additional purchase, since you're in the middle of an active subscription. Same thing happens for the FSLM. It's up in our banner that says, please start your next FSLM when it's available. But of course, if you have any issues, reach out to support and we can help you get that sorted.
Another question for you, Addie. Is the Worldly Assistant available in multiple languages?
Yes. So because it's based on an LLM system, it's able to work in many different languages. I have to confirm the exact number, but I anticipate that it works in any language you give it. So you ask your question in Vietnamese or in French, and it will respond to you in Vietnamese or in French. Just like that.
Great.
No extra buttons need to be pressed or anything like that.
Amazing. Excited to get into the Worldly Assistant this year. We've tried it out within the Worldly team, and it has proven to be a very helpful resource, even for our internal teams, answering technical questions about the assessment. Question for you, Demith or Dalwal. If level 2 and level 3 are not going to be verified, should you answer them?
Demith, would you like to take it or should I?
Sure, I can take it. I think I replied on the chat as well. Definitely, you should reply to the level 2, level 3 questions that are posed to you if you achieve level 1 for the relevant sections. In addition, you will see similar to the previous cadences, with previous 2 cadences, you will get a partially verified score. And this partially verified score includes your verified outcome for level 1, as well as the unverified questions that are in level 2 and level 3 that you have answered in the self-assessment. So the final outcome of a partially verified score that you are getting for your facility will be the combination of these 2. In addition, most of your stakeholders will be looking forward to look at the progress on the aspirational and progressive activities that you've done within the facility. So the level 2 and level 3 answers are very important. And if you do not answer them, then you will not be able to complete the module, and that would also result in you not being able to post your module.
Great, thank you. And then Dalwal, there's a question about the verification fee. Are there any changes to the verification fee this year?
Thanks, Loretta, for this question. So the verification access fee is the US dollar 300 amount. That is the amount currently. If there are any changes, they shall be communicated with the stakeholders.
I have 2 questions for myself around pricing and allocation. So the question is, can a company who has paid for the standard subscription for the last 2 years move to pay then for the light subscription? It really depends on what your partners need you to complete. So if for the last 2 years you've had to complete the FEM or the FSLM assessment and still need to complete it for this upcoming year, then you will need to purchase the standard subscription. But since you've already done it for 2 years, I highly recommend that you purchase the 2-year subscription plan, seeing that you are a frequent user. of the assessment. For those of you that are needing to purchase and then pass along the modules or the subscriptions to another entity, Purchase for Others is available this year. It's on our platform, easy to navigate, and we've made some improvements on how to do that easily after you've made the purchase, and they will have, you can give it to the FEM 25 subscription to another entity. And then let's see what else is there coming through. For Cascale team, either, I think Demeth probably, is there a date for when the How to Hit guide may be available in Spanish?
We are aiming to have all the languages, all the 9 to 10 languages that we have the translations for available by the end of the year. I cannot give a specific date for the Spanish translation at the moment, but please be mindful of the updates that we are doing to the How to Hit resources page for the FEM 2025 details. And probably within the next 4 weeks, you should be able to see that. But at the moment, I am not able to give you a specific date.
Thank you, Demeth. Addie, we have 2 questions on Facility Data Manager for you. What is it? And is it necessary in order to then answer FEM?
The Facility Data Manager is our more frequent data collection tool. So it asks questions mostly about quantitative values that sometimes overlap with the FEM. So this would be at the request of a brand or a retailer who's looking for data at the quarterly or the monthly level instead of the annual level that our FEM is at. And it is not a requirement to complete the FEM. It can supplement, and it's dependent on your brand and retailer requirements. But if you do complete the FDM, so that's that monthly, quarterly, we can populate and aggregate that data if you've completed a year of it into the annual assessment so that you don't have to duplicate the entry of all of those data points. But again, not a requirement to complete the FEM. They can be done separately.
However, I do want to say that FDM and FEM are connected and you can roll over. If you had completed 12 months of FDM for 2024, you can roll over your responses into FEM in addition to the rollover of the qualitative questions that Addie mentioned earlier in this webinar, and you will be even further along in your completion of the FEM 2025 assessment questions. We have another question for you, Addie, on the deadlines. If the facilities now have the option to kind of post and unpost past April 30th, how will a brand or end user know when the data will be confirmed and locked and no longer changing?
We still recommend that brands and retailers set dates for their self-assessment and for their verified assessment, just like we've done any year past. What's really changing is the technical ability for, in case a brand or a retailer wants to collect this data after April 30th, they can. In case they're onboarding in a facility in the, the kind of the off cadence cycle, that is now feasible for that facility. But we still recommend that a facility talk to their brands, talk to the people collecting their assessment to make sure that they match their deadlines.
Thank you, Addie. And please join us for the Kickstarter workshops as we walk you much more in depth into the Worldly Collaboration Suite tool, because we can also help you understand the different statuses of your facilities that are available in that tool as well, so you can better track and understand the stages that your facility is in, whether they're completed and still in that 60-day kind of window to post and unpost, or if they have passed it and it's posted and the data is stable. But please join us for much deeper in-depth sessions next week, actually, and we'll send out the link to the Kickstarter program for you to sign up for those workshops. Next question. For Dalwall, who pays the verification access fee?
Thanks, Loretta. The answer is manufacturers, the manufacturer which is going for a verification.
Got it. And then let's see, what else is still open? Another question, an FDM question, Addie. In FDM 2025, how long can we continue importing our data after you purchase the 2026 FDM?
I think I understand the question. Let me know if I misunderstood, but I think you're saying, does your new subscription impact your ability to import previous data? And it does not. So if you've updated your subscription or renewed your subscription, you still have access to all that previous data and the ability to roll it forward into FEM with no limitations.
I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please submit the question with some clarifications. Another question for you, Addie. As they're completing the assessment, they see kind of low completion percentages in each of the sections. How do they know what's left, what's missing?
I see this question. The FEM questions open up applicable questions as you respond to the assessment. So if you respond, for example, that you use purchased electricity, then we ask you questions about how much purchased electricity. And so there's a point where you can answer questions in the FEM that actually open up follow-up questions or open up more questions, and you'll see your completion percentage lower as you answer more questions. That just reflects the applicability and the conditionality of some of the assessment and how the assessment was built. So please review at the very top of the screen. There's the ability to check and uncheck to show just unanswered questions or show the entire assessment. That can be a way to view the changes that still need to be answered in order to complete the assessment.
Thank you, Addie.
Yeah. I do see one question about the FEM 2024 that I'd just like to clarify. So our previous cadence, the deadline to complete our previous cadence is going to be the end of the year, so December 31st, 2025. At that point, the FEM 2024 will be locked for self-posting and for verification, since the year has ended and the cadence has ended. So I just want to make sure that last year's assessment is still in progress and the cadence will wrap up at the very end of the calendar year.
Thank you, Addie. Leah, we have a new facility user who is asking some very specific questions about the FEM assessment. Do you want to share just some specific resources that are available through our Education and Training Center?
Yeah, so I just sent a link in the chat. If you would like to attend some live sessions, if that's kind of your preferred mode, there's going to be a bunch of different sessions on all of the different sections. We're starting with just a general introduction and overview, both for new and returning users. That's in 2 weeks, and it's hosted with interpretation in multiple languages. So check out that link in the chat now to see when those are scheduled and which languages are supported. Also, all of the recorded webinars that I do, I'll include subtitles in multiple languages as well. So even if it's not available for live interpretation, you'll still have a resource that has been translated for you. In addition to that, we're also doing some section deep dives further on throughout November and December and January. And then we also have a bunch of helpful resources in our e-learning center. So I'm sending a link in the chat now that is our e-learning course full list. It's organized by kind of like who you are. So if you're a facility user answering an assessment versus a brand user collecting data. So take a look at that. I would recommend starting just with the Worldly General Onboarding course to get started. That will go over all of the different tools that you have available to you within the platform. And then there's a full curriculum on FEM. So if you really want to do a deep dive, you can do the full curriculum. There's also a getting started for FEM for both facility users who might be filling out the assessment and brand users. So I would recommend starting there. In addition to that, There's also tons of just helpful resources on how to Higg, as well as our support site. So let me just send the link to the FEM section on our support site so that you can take a look there. There's a tons and tons of resources there. So definitely start there. And then as you're filling things out, don't forget there's also the Worldly Assistant. So the Worldly Assistant is collecting all of this information, all of the things that I just talked about, written resources, how to Higg information, that sort of thing, and then able to answer questions. So if you're getting stuck as you're actually answering a question within the assessment, once you're a bit more familiar with it, that can be a helpful way to start to get some more information. So hopefully that answered your question, but let me know if you have others.
Thank you, Leah. There was a follow-up question where it might have disappeared. It may have gotten answered already. There's a question coming in about cadence deadlines and how that aligns with CSRD reporting and needing to have verified data in your report for submission by March 31st. We see a lot of brands set deadlines earlier than April 30th. It really is up to you as a brand to ensure that you are setting the expectations and understanding of the deadlines with your supply chain for those who may need to do things earlier than the industry recommended deadline of April 30th. Customer success, my team has worked with many brands in the past that have deadlines as early as January 31st for self-assessment and end of February for verification. We can work with you, especially if you sign up for a one-on-one Kickstarter meeting with us. We can work with you to set up your segments and campaigns in the Worldly Collaboration Suite to ensure that your supply chain is aware and clear on the deadlines that you expect from them. There is a lot of questions coming in about FDM, Leah. Is there an upcoming session that you'll be leading that will deep dive into FDM?
Actually, there's not one planned, but I can plan one. So it sounds like that might be something folks would want. So I can definitely get one of those on the calendar. I will point you to our resource center as well. There's a few different recorded webinars that I hosted somewhat recently, going over both how just generally to use FDM, and I'm sending a link in the chat to the recorded webinars. I'll also share this with our Cascale team so they can include that in the follow-up email. So if you missed the link, don't worry. But there's recordings of how to use Facility Data Manager to get a head start on your FEM. So it sounds like that might be something a lot of folks on this call are interested in. So definitely check that one out. There's also just a deep dive into how to get started with FDM in general. And then there's also a bunch of different training resources available asynchronously. And I'm just sharing a link in the chat to just the central section about Facility Data Manager. So there's a quick start guide. So if you like to kind of review and read and follow along as you're entering things, that's available. I do also want to emphasize that our help center is also translated. So at the very bottom of the page, there's a language selector. You can select your language there and it fully translates the content as well. So definitely check that out. The link that I sent in the chat includes all of the resources. There's question by question guidance that has also been translated. And then just, you know, a couple of short videos, just kind of generally overview. Check out there's like a 9-minute just how to use FDM. So that's a great place to get started, but I'll also look at the calendar and get something going. So for folks that want to attend something live, that'll be available.
Thank you, Leah. This is really important feedback for us. Seeing all these questions here, Leah can quickly pull things together to ensure that we're providing the right materials and access to our teams to answer your questions about different types of assessments. Highly encourage you to fill out the survey also that Hamza mentioned earlier in this session. This will also really help guide us on how we can best be available for you all as members, users of our platform, etc. Hamza, Pete has asked for you to navigate back to the cadence timeline slide. Pete, if you have a question about the timeline, please put it into the Q&A as well. And we will be sending out an additional resource around timelines within the Worldly Toolkit. So you'll receive it not only in this presentation and as a link to this webinar, but you'll also see key dates along with some recommended best practices as you kind of hit different months along this cadence cycle, especially between November and April. We have a lot of recommendations that we've learned throughout the years to drive engagement along the supply chain that we will be sharing with you in the next couple of weeks. So we have about 4 minutes left in the session today. I want to remind you, those of you that are posting questions in the chat, we are not monitoring those questions. So please navigate over to the Q&A box and then put your questions there, because this then allows us at the close of the webinar to take all those questions that may have been answered or unanswered and put them in FAQ resources. We're not able to do that if you put the questions in the chat. So you've got about 4 minutes left to move those questions from the chat over to the Q&A window, and I will be scrolling through and looking for more questions to ask the team. Demeth, it looks like you're already answering a question right now, typing about the waste section. Do you want to answer that live, please, so that the others on the call can hear it?
Thank you, Loretta. Yes, I can. So the reason why we have not allowed a not applicable option for the hazardous waste category is that we have seen that all facilities have some kind of hazardous waste, either production related or domestic related. So as such, they should be able to at least refer to one of the hazardous waste categories that are available under that question, and should be able to answer the quantities or the details with regard to that. And that is why the not applicable option is not available for those.
Thank you, Demeth. There was a question that I think has already received a typed answer. Leah, can you share with the group where they can find the resource that shows the changes from this year's FEM versus last year's FEM?
Yeah, so that's going to be here, and I believe it's published, but if it's not, it will be published like right after this. So all of your resources are right there. There's also the 2025 cadence timeline. So for anybody who is looking for that as a resource, I just sent kind of all of those there. That will be under the facility environmental modules section. And you can always bookmark these sections if you would like to keep them handy. But yeah, so there's the summary of updates and all of that. Also within our e-learning, there's a short lesson just going over the changes. So if you have already taken the FEM course before, take a look at it. There's a new lesson that will explain, everything that we kind of went over today. And yeah, so that's all linked there. And you can also find that on How to Higg. How to Higg also has the full guidance, so you can kind of see the PDF and all of that good stuff there.
Thank you, Leah. And we have time for one last question. It's either for Addie or for Demeth. Are there any efforts for FEM to be linked to CDP reporting?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
What?
Me too, Eddie.
And you know what? Any questions that we have left open from this session, we will follow up with FAQs later on. Hamza, do you want to close us out for today?
Yes, Loretta, thank you so much for moderating the Q&A session, and thank you everyone for joining us today and so actively participating by submitting your questions. Some great questions came in, and I really appreciate that. We hope you found the webinar informative and helpful. And please feel free to reach out to Cascale or Worldly with any additional questions or feedback. As a reminder, please complete your post-webinar survey to share your feedback with us. And with that, is the end of the webinar today. Thank you so much again, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you. Happy cadence.
Happy cadence.
Thank you, everyone.